they were thoroughly impressed with my knowledge of just the home, especially when we're walking through properties. Because I've
Mhm.
done all of it and I've seen a home, in studs and I've ripped and tore things apart.
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is the Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome back to the Closing Table, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host. I go by the name of Kevin C. McIntosh, and joining us on this episode, we are here to learn from top producing real estate agent Jaclyn Truax. How you doing, Jaclyn?
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for taking time and sitting down with us here on the Closing Table. So we're here to talk about some things and learn some things regarding real estate. But before we do that, I just like to have a little bit of fun with our guests. I got a game called Fill in the Blank, and it is exactly like it sounds. I got a couple sentences related to real estate. I need you to fill those in, complete these sentences that I have blanks for with whatever context you feel is appropriate. You ready?
Oh boy. Yep,
Okay.
ready.
I love that reaction. All right, cool. First sentence. The most valuable upgrade to a property is blank.
Kitchen, bathroom, whatever
Hmm.
the seller feels they're able to do.
Okay. That's legit. When it comes to real estate, timing is blank.
Everything.
Yeah, I'd agree. That's very simple. My
Yeah.
favorite thing about being a real estate agent is blank.
Creating my own schedule, especially with a
Mm,
little one. It's yeah.
good point. Okay. Last, the biggest advantage of owning a property is blank.
Uh, Having something to call your own.
Ooh, talk about it.
Yep.
Man, you can't go wrong in any department with that as long as it's your
Yeah.
own. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
All right then. Great way to start the day, Jaclyn. So I want to know a little about you outside of real estate. Talk to me and our audience and tell us within 60 seconds who is Jaclyn Truax outside of real estate.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I wear all kinds of different hats. But first and foremost, I'm a mom to my 5 year old son, Jacob.
Mhm.
He is my world, inspiration. I am wife to my husband, Joshua. Um, I love the outdoors. Ever since I was a kid, you'll find me heading up north and boating in the summer. We love
Mm,
camping, snowmobiling in the winter. Like, you get me outside, and I am happy. I'm in my happy place. So,
there it is. There it is. See, I like to kind of just get down to that side of our real estate agents. We're all human. We all have our things that we like to, enjoy in life and different titles that we have outside of that. And I appreciate that. It kind of gives people a little bit more perspective as to who you are. And before we talk about what you do, can you describe currently the market that you serve geographically, the location, and then give some like notable landmarks and things of that nature for our audience?
yeah, yep, of course. So, I serve Metro Detroit area, so it's primarily
Hmm.
suburbs in and around Detroit. I like
Right.
to focus within the Livonia area. I was born, I grew up and still am in the Livonia area, so that's kind of like my bread and butter. But I'm also serving, Plymouth, Canton, Northville, Westland, I would say like a 30-minute radius around Livonia area.
Okay. Okay. Good. So what is the market looking like currently? You have any information to kind of just check the temperature of your market? Well, I mean, you have any like average pricing, square footage, how many days on the market on average, anything of that nature?
Yeah, so the market is extremely competitive as of right now.
Mm,
Primarily, I've been helping most of my sellers the beginning of this year, primarily with listings, and every single one of them have been multiple offer situations, well above list price. with all of the terms, right? So, buyers are
Right.
either waiving inspections or they're including appraisal guarantees, or which is great on the selling side of things, but it tends to be, a lot tougher when you're on the buying side of things.
Correct. Yeah, yeah, I bet. Okay. Thank you for giving us that guidance, that information. You spoke at the Spring Forward into Home Buying event. I don't know if this was your actual event, but I know that you were a guest speaker. Let's talk about some of those key points that were made at that event. Some things that you said or some things that other people may have said that can help out.
Yeah, yeah. So that was an idea of an event that me and my preferred lender, Robin, came up with. We thought it was a great idea to just, have a very informal event where people could come out and potentially get some information about home buying this spring.
Mhm.
And couple of the things that I touched on in regards to that was just like preparation. Like, what do you need to do to get ready to buy or sell, this
Right.
spring, with it being competitive and things like that. And what you can do, like with your agent, and having a conversation and figuring out a game plan before you actually jump into buying is huge.
Mhm.
Whether that be like specific location, because I know me as an agent, if you give me a specific neighborhood or a area that you want to be, I have more I have the ability to really narrow down that area, whether it be calling or sending out letters, or target that area to try and find something for you, instead of just leaving it
Mhm.
up to whatever's popping up on your home search. So,
Gotcha.
yep.
Okay. Okay. Good. 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 Well, that kind of has me. I just want to throw this question in there real quick. Do you think it's better for the agent to work an entire state that they're licensed in, or should they be concentrated on one specific area? Or what's your preference?
Yeah, so I guess it depends. In regards to, I 100% think you should only be working the area that you are knowledgeable on, right? That's not to say
Gotcha.
that, I've helped several people who have sold in the Metro Detroit area and have retired and moved up north. And it's then I'm acting as a connection point for, maybe I'm not helping them with the purchase in northern Michigan, but I'm connecting them and I can help be that connection point with somebody in northern Michigan so that they can, you know,
Okay.
start that end of it.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I always kind of wondered about that. Like, I hear so many different answers from agents, like, oh, I do the entire state of Florida. I'm like, man, do you really know about houses in every part of Florida?
They
Or I'm like,
probably
okay,
don't.
well, maybe you just focus on this. Yeah, I'm like, maybe you just focus on a specific city that you grew up in. You know everybody there. You know all the homes. You know the good neighborhoods. Maybe that helps out. But your opportunity is greater when you have more proximity. But that's just my thought. I'm glad you kind of
Yeah.
cleared that up for us. Um, in regards to do-it-yourself projects, working on projects and things of that nature, you say you have a lot of experience here, correct?
Yeah, so like that's kind of how I got started, or what led me to get into the real estate business. Me and my husband, we bought our first two houses on short sales, and both of them needed
Mm,
significant renovations. So got them both of them at a heck of a price, with a short sale, and we went in and we did all of the renovations ourselves. Two kitchen remodels, bathroom remodels, did flooring ourselves. I've painted an entire house myself. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty, to grab
wow.
some power tools and make some things happen. And luckily, for us, we were able to, sell both of those homes. We upgraded to a colonial in Plymouth. And then finally, on our third house, my husband was like, you got to do something, like go get your license or something, because like
Mm,
we're not doing the whole renovation thing again. So we
right.
ended up
Okay.
finding our third house, and instead of buying another fixer upper, I went and got my real estate license and made a career of it. So
Oh, nice, nice,
yeah.
nice. My question regarding that was, and I guess you kind of answered that, was how do you feel like your experience working and doing all that physical labor and those improvements? How do you feel like that shaped your perspective on the whole industry of real estate? I mean, I based on your story. I kind of feel like it goes the opposite way of what I was thinking. I would assume that you would, because you have extensive knowledge in DIY and painting and doing all this, you would look at a home and say, "Oh, it's a fixture upper, no problem. I can do that. I bring the value up. Boom, good." But kind of from your story, it's almost like you, although you know the knowledge, you got your real estate license, and you kind of choosing not to buy those fixer uppers. Did I understand that right?
Yeah, well, I got pregnant with my son at that point. So when the
Oh,
first
got
2
you.
were without a child and the 3rd one was with,
Okay,
a newborn. So that kinda changed priorities. But,
I
in
feel it.
terms of how has it helped with me, and my buyers? Hands down.
I
I get
bet.
told a lot of times with the buyers that I'm working with that they were thoroughly impressed with my knowledge of just the home, especially when we're walking through properties. Because I've
Mhm.
done all of it and I've seen a home, in studs and I've ripped and tore things apart. I have a pretty good knowledge as to like what's going on with the home and of course I'm not an inspector, but like I can advise them as to like what I would do in a certain situation, things like that. So, and my buyers, they always appreciate it.
What type of work have you helped, or maybe even advised some clients to do, right? In regards to the home buying process. Let's say you're walking through a home with a buyer or client, and you notice some things throughout the house that need some work, but it's DIY work. It's things that you or your client could possibly do. I mean, how do you kind of like walk them through the, you say, hey, that needs a patch on a, I can't even say the term, like I don't even know what to say, but I'm like, do you kind of say, hey, that could be easily fixed with some laminate and I can help you do that, or or do you
Yeah.
walk them through it? Do you actually do it with them? Like, how do you identify and help them with that, especially for someone who may not have that knowledge?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is like trying to envision a space when it's really outdated, right? For
Hmm.
instance, on my first house, we did what was called like a mini makeover on our kitchen, which wasn't necessarily ripping down cabinets. Um, It's looking at a space and being like, "Okay, maybe we don't have a ton of money to be able to refinish the entire kitchen. What can we use? And maybe, what
Mm,
can we use in the kitchen that's already there?" Like, for instance, painting cabinets, right? A kitchen could look completely different if you paint the cabinets white. And also, like, knowing stores that have really inexpensive but nice looking options. Like, for instance, IKEA has some fantastic in stock countertops that are very inexpensive but durable, and they're completely black, so it looks great on a white cabinet. Things like that.
mm,
Same with like flooring. So it's like if you consider these things and you're willing to do the work, you can revamp the entire space. Paint doesn't cost much, and when you're looking at
right.
countertops that are 25, $30, like you can revamp a space for a couple $100. You
Okay,
just got to
okay,
get your buyers
good.
to be able to envision it and see it.
Correct, correct. Get their hands dirty a little bit, you know
That's
what I'm
right,
saying?
that's
Okay.
right.
I get it. I get it. So Jacqueline, let me put you in this scenario. I have a home that I'm selling, right? I've been in this home X amount of years, 10 years, whatever, raised the family, let's say that. I'm selling my home. Um, you're representing the buyer. You're bringing the buyer over for a showing, but I kind of feel a certain way about leaving my home and just leaving people in there to look. Even though I'm selling, I'm leaving. I kind of still want to stay there to see what's going on. How have you managed the situation where you were showing a home to a buyer, but the seller's still there?
Yeah, so I've had that happen in several instances. One in particular is, the seller chose to stay home, which the seller can, right? They if they choose, if they want to stay in the house, they most definitely can. But in this
Right.
instance, this gentleman followed us around like very, very closely, was watching, like made my buyers feel very uncomfortable to the point where after we left the showing, my buyers looked at me and said, "We were so like distracted by this gentleman following us around the house that
Yeah.
like we don't even remember what the house looked like." Like we weren't even paying attention to what the
Wow.
house looked like because of that, right? So
Yeah.
if I was advising a seller, um, you know, I would usually ask to make sure that they leave just because you wanna give the buyer the ability to truly see the house and not be distracted, by something else going on.
Yeah, I just couldn't imagine how awkward that would be. The fact that
Yeah.
I'm going through looking for stuff, I feel like they would be commenting on different things too, and we can't really ask honest questions about certain things.
No. Yeah, you feel like you can't say anything.
How did that transaction go? Did the people end up going? Did they want that home, or did they decide against that because of that reason specifically?
Yeah, so, we actually ended up scheduling a second showing, so that they could actually and then we requested, like, "Hey, by the way, do you mind if, we look
Uh,
at it for a second time, but, you know, the seller isn't present?" Which we were able to
mm,
get in there for a second time, and they were actually able to get inside the house and really look at it, which, is,
right.
beneficial.
Right. Y'all thinking they wasn't there. They were there. They probably hiding in the closet or
Maybe.
something, parked around the corner.
Cameras,
That's
audio, they
hilarious.
got all
I
of it
know,
now.
yeah. That's hilarious. All right, so when people are actually buying homes or people are even selling homes, can you discuss some of the environmental factors that home buyers or sellers should consider? Soil contamination, flood zones, air quality, just little things like that. Any notes that you want to speak on regarding that?
So, I think in this area, Metro Detroit, the biggest thing is, whether you're in a flood zone or not. There are some
Mm-hmm.
areas within Metro Detroit that are, known and prone to flooding. So the biggest thing is, ask your agent. We have the ability to look up whether a property is in a flood zone or not.
Mm,
And find out that information before you physically go and look at the house. Because if it's in a flood zone, then the property is going to require flood insurance, and that could make a huge
uh,
difference in your payment and all the things. So, just
gotcha.
check, and we can tell you whether it's in a flood zone or not. Another common thing I see is in regards to like asbestos tile or like radon gas. So radon,
Mm,
natural occurring gas, it's common in Michigan basements. I always recommend clients to make sure that they get that tested when you're under contract on a property and you get a home inspection. They can test for radon gas, and it's not the end all be all if it has high levels, right? There are radon mitigation systems that you can install in a basement to help with that. It's just some areas
mm.
are prone to it and others not. So,
Interesting, interesting stuff I didn't
yeah.
know about. Thank you for making that note. You've been in the Metro Detroit area, very unique market. Can you talk about some unique homes that you may have seen, visited, or showed in that area?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I would say the most unique one I had wasn't necessarily in Metro Detroit, but it was sellers that had sold in Metro Detroit and they were looking for property. And we ended up finding them this gorgeous house. And I think they were on 30 or 40 acres. And the acreage
Oh
itself
wow.
it had a shooting range, it had a Christmas tree farm, it had a different type of streams throughout the property and with trails and bridges. It was we went out there one day and the property was absolutely stunning. So that was
Wow.
definitely a lifestyle change that they chose. And man, I was jealous. I was like, I could live like this.
Yeah. 30,
Yeah.
40 acres. Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Who is
Yep.
cutting that grass? That is the first thing that pops up in my head.
They're not.
Who is cutting that grass? I know they're
Yeah.
not.
They're not.
Man. Wow. Oh yeah, that's nice though. 30, that is a lot of land. I couldn't even imagine what to do with that land. Oh yeah, that's definitely unique. Jaclyn, since we are sitting here talking great informational content and things of that nature, you being a professional, you being successful, can you speak on any content, whether that's a book, a quote, a movie, any advice that you may have gotten somebody that you feel may have shaped you or shifted you into the better person that you are today?
Oh gosh. Um my son is an inspiration for me every single day. Just
Mm.
the thought of me being able to, better his life in some way, that's a driving factor. My dad is also a huge driving factor. He passed away back in 2011, but he was a very hardworking
My
man, and
condolences.
he instilled the values that I have today. And so I owe it to him for a lot of my business savviness. It ran in the family, so it was kind of destined for me to end up in some type of entrepreneur role. And then I'm constantly trying to grow and evolve myself. I love Tony Robbins. I love Mel Robbins.
Mm,
I am consistently listening to podcasts or audiobooks. Some of my favorite are Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Love that one. I just finished up the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell, which is an OG.
okay.
Atomic Habits, like just um, things to try and grow myself and better myself, not only
Mm.
in my business, but as a person every single day.
Right, right. Great. Okay. We love to hear that. We love to hear new content and media that we can look up ourselves and, give some reference to. So thank you, Jaclyn. We appreciate you. Thank you for taking time and pulling up a seat right here at the closing table. At this point, if you have any last words and or want to tell the people how they can reach out to you, please do so now.
Yeah, so you can reach me through any of my socials. I'm on Facebook and on Instagram. I hang out on Instagram most of the time. My cell phone number, you can email me, Jaclyn Truax at atproperties.com. Yeah, and even if it's just starting a conversation, I would love to chat.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for being here, Jaclyn. We appreciate you. For our YouTube audience watching right now, that's you. If you got into this point in the video, it is your time to hit that like button for us. Please and thank you. Also, make sure you share and subscribe to our channel. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Give us a like, 5-star rating, and subscribe for our latest content. Jaclyn, we are leaving our audience with a question because I like to get them to think.
Ooh.
Hey, audience, what are some of the most important features or amenities that you look for in a home? Don't tell us. Drop them below in the comments. Besides that, we'll talk to you next time.